Hey guys, welcome back to Solo Recap. Today we're going to recap the movie called The Prestige. Spoilers ahead, watch out, and take care. The film is about two aspiring magicians, Borden and Angier, who are assistants to a famous magician. Their job is to tie up Julia, who is Angier's wife. She is put inside the tank that is covered, and after a while, she magically appears out of it. The stage manager, Cutter, makes sure that the show goes smoothly. One day, Cutter asks the boys to find the secret behind a goldfish trick done by an elderly magician. So they both watch the trick, but only Borden figures out that the magician carries the bowl in between his legs, which Angier considers to be impossible for such an old man. But Borden says the magician pretends to be weak just to make his trick work. A few days, the magician is doing the water trick again, but this time, Julia doesn't come out of the tank. After a minute, Cutter goes to smash the glass, but he's too late. Julia dies in front of the crowd. Angier believes that Borden tied a dangerous knot. That's why Julia couldn't get her hands free. He even asks Borden which knot he tied, but Biden says he doesn't remember. Some months later, Borden is working for another magician who makes the birds vanish. He meets Sarah there, and he's immediately in love with her. They spend a great evening together, and he even sneaks into her house for a cup of tea. In a matter of months, they are married. One day, Sarah comes back to see a man named Fallon sitting in her house with Borden. Borden tells her that he's starting his own show, and Fallon is a stage manager. He then demonstrates his bullet-catching trick. Sarah is worried about his safety, so Borden shows her how he takes out the bullet from the gun so it's safe. One night, he's performing in a small theater in front of a rowdy crowd. He decides to do the bullet-catching trick, and Fallon picks a volunteer from the audience. Borden looks at the volunteer and instantly recognizes Angier, who's using a disguise. Angier looks angry, and he's loaded the gun. He wants to know which knot Borden tied, but Borden still claims to not know. So Angier shoots him, and the bullet hits Borden's hand. Borden's injuries worry Sarah because they are penniless and have a child to feed. Meanwhile, Angier meets up with Cutter, who wants to start a new show with Angier as the magician. They hire Olivia as their assistant, and Cutter comes up with a dove vanishing technique that uses springs to make the bird disappear while keeping it alive. They also lease a new theater, and on their first performance, it's packed. This is when Angier wears the mechanism and invites volunteers for the dove trick. But just as he goes to do his trick, he sees that Borden is among the volunteers. Borden breaks the mechanism, causing the dove to die. This incident shuts down Angier's show, and Cutter asks him to check out a science exhibition for new trick ideas. At this exhibition, Angier sees Borden staring at a violent machine built by Nikola Tesla. A few weeks later, Angier is watching Borden's new show, and there he witnesses Borden's new trick called the Transported Man. The trick looks simple, but Angier knows that it's the greatest trick of all time. He wants to steal the trick, but doesn't know how Borden does it. Cutter claims that Borden uses a body double, but Olivia says that the man who goes into one box and the one who comes out of the other box wears the same padded glove to hide his missing fingers. Still, Cutter convinces Angier to use a body double, so Olivia finds an actor named Root who looks exactly like Angier. They practice their trick where Angier will open a door to fall under the stage, while Root comes up instantly. On their first show, this trick makes the crowd go crazy, but Angier is not happy. He believes that Borden's trick is superior, and he asks Olivia to go spy on him. She meets Borden at his workshop and tells him that she's there because she is tired of Angier, who is a failure. She also tells Borden about how Angier uses Root for his trick, so Borden goes to have a chat with Root, who's drinking. He is fed up with Angier, and Borden manipulates him. Then one night, Angier falls down the stage and sees Borden going up instead of Root. Borden makes a joke of Angier's show by bringing a tied-up Root on stage. Angier is angry and he visits Olivia one night. He asks her to give him the secret to Borden's trick, but she too says that Borden uses a double. Angier doesn't want to believe it, so she gives him Borden's notebook that requires a keyword to be understood. To get this keyword, Angier and Cutter kidnap Fallon after a show. Borden meets them the next day in the middle of the woods. Angier wants the keyword and the secret to his trick, so Borden writes the word Tesla and calls it the answer to everything. After this, Angier tells him where Fallon is buried. That evening, Angier visits Cutter, who is in a hospital because he got shot by Fallon. There, Angier shares his plans of visiting the USA and meeting Nikola Tesla. He wants Cutter to accompany him, but Cutter says he's too old for such a journey. Thus, Angier goes to Colorado alone. He hikes up the mountain to visit Tesla's lab, but his assistant Ali turns Angier away. However, he soon meets Ali, who wants to know Angier's intentions. Angier explains how he saw the description of a machine in Borden's notebook and wants Tesla to make another machine for him. Angier thinks Borden uses this machine for his teleportation trick. That night, Ali shows him how Tesla provides energy to the entire town with his machines. He even shows Angier an experiment where Tesla provides electricity to light bulbs without any wires. Angier is invited to Tesla's lab a few days later, where Tesla shows off his electrical machines. They are having lunch when Tesla explains how Angier's machine is going to cost him much more than just money. He says this machine is only an obsession, and he asks Angier to forget about it, but Angier is adamant. So Tesla agrees to build a machine for him. Angier spent some months in that place when he's finally told that his machine is ready. During the demonstration, Tesla uses Angier's hat under the machine, but to their surprise, the hat doesn't disappear. So they ask Angier to come back after a week while they find out what went wrong. During this time, Angier finally finished Borden's notebook and finds out that he was betrayed by Olivia, who loves Borden. Borden uses Olivia to give Angier this notebook. He says in the notebook that Tesla is only the keyword to his notebook and not the secret behind his trick. So essentially, he wasted Angier's time by sending him to America. Angier is mad at Tesla, who still believes that his machine is going to work. They try the machine again on a cat, but the cat doesn't vanish either. Disappointed, Angier is leaving the lab when he sees two identical cats and a lot of hats outside. Tesla looks at all of this and believes the machine works, and it produces copies of objects. He still has to calibrate the machine, so he asks Angier to wait. However, Tesla's lab is burnt down by Thomas Edison's men. Tesla leaves the machine in Angier's hands, but asks him to destroy it, as it will only bring him pain and regret. Angier brings the machine to London and hires Cutter again. They find a warehouse to test the machine, but only Angier and blind workers are allowed to go anywhere near it. They show the machines working to a stage promoter, who is mesmerized by this impossible magic. He finds a theater for Angier's last performance. Back in London, Sarah finds out about Borden's affair. No matter how much he tries to convince her, she feels like that he doesn't love her anymore. She's depressed and ends up committing suicide in Borden's workshop. Borden is heartbroken, and he now has to raise his daughter alone. His misery is worsened when Olivia tells him about Angier's new show, and Borden goes to see it. Borden checks the stage alongside other people during the show. Then he sees Angier fall under the stage, but somehow he appears in the uppermost aisles in mere seconds. Borden is frustrated with Fallon because they just can't figure out the secret behind this trick. All they know is that some blind workers transport multiple tanks to Angier's warehouse after each show. In the end, Borden asks Fallon to leave Angier alone. But some days later, Borden forgets his own advice and goes to see the trick. He manages to sneak behind the stage, where he sees Angier fall into a water tank that is locked. He tries to break Angier free, but he's too late and Angier drowns in front of him. Borden is arrested for Angier's death, and Cutter tells the court that someone messed with the lock to the water tank. Since Borden was the only one who went backstage, he's sentenced to death. In jail, Borden is visited by a lawyer of Lord Caldlow, and he wants to buy Borden's tricks. He also gives Borden a gift, Angier's diary. He tells Borden that if he gives up his secrets, Lord Caldlow will take care of his daughter. Borden reads the diary and learns how Angier planned his death. He wanted to blame his death on Borden, and he succeeded. Borden is worried about his daughter and doesn't want her to grow up in some orphanage. He agrees to sell his secrets, but only if his daughter is brought to prison for one last visit. Cutter, on the other hand, is busy shipping all of Angier's magic tools to Lord Caldlow's mansion. However, he wants to meet Caldlow and buy the machine. He doesn't want the machine in anyone's hands, so he plans to burn it. Some days later, Borden is visited by his daughter before his execution. This is when he learns the shocking truth that Caldlow is none other than Angier. Angier tells him that his trick was better than Borden's and that Borden shouldn't have interfered. He promises to take care of Borden's daughter and leaves. Moments before his hanging, Borden meets Fallon and tells him everything. He tells Fallon that he's sorry for what happened to Sarah and that he should have stayed the hell away from Angier. Their meeting ends and Borden is taken to the gallows and hung. Angier, on the other hand, meets Cutter, who is shocked to see him alive. He tells Cutter that he will never use the machine again, and then Cutter helps him in moving the machine to the warehouse. Cutter tells Angier that he has done horrible things just for the sake of a magic trick. After Cutter leaves, Angier hears someone else in the warehouse. He then sees Borden, who shoots him. Angier is confused, so Borden explains that he had a twin brother. They both played the roles of Borden and Fallon. This was the secret behind his teleportation trick. To make sure that no one can distinguish between them, the brothers even cut off the same fingers. He says that a great trick always requires sacrifices. Angier then explains that his trick took sacrifices as well. The first time he used the machine, he had to shoot down his clone. However, Angier is still satisfied because the amazement on the face of the spectators was priceless. Borden leaves when Angier dies. A broken lamp burns down the warehouse with all the dead clones inside it. The film ends with Cutter handing over Borden's daughter to him. Thank you for watching. Feel free to drop a comment below as to what we should recap next. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and don't forget to turn on notifications. See you in another video.